Newcastle United has suffered a pre-season losing to Everton. But what can we learn from the game? Plus, signings. Where are they? And where do we need it most? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Shan. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shan.
All right. I hope you guys are all blessed. I hope you guys are doing well. God bless you all. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. Great to have you all on, guys. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. We're going to do a bit of a reaction to the preseason game to Everton. Goods, bads, and uglies about some of the tactical change. Some of you guys may have seen my reaction post on X about it as well. I felt the need to really kind of, in my mind anyway, to kind of share my thoughts and feelings and opinions in the game as well. So there's a lot that's going to be taken from that I'm going to discuss with you today and maybe show a clip or two from the game itself. We're also going to do we're going to see if there's talk about the transfer news where there is some transfers, obviously, and find out where Newcastle need to improve the most, really. Then we're going to do a scouting report on a potential number 6 for Newcastle United, by the name of Tyler Morton. So I am looking forward to discussing that one with you guys. But as always, good to see folks in the chat. As always, God bless you guys. My man Pro Clubs is here, and to you. Benoit is here. God bless you, James. James, good to see my man James. It's all good. I am a bit late. It's all good. But great to have you on, guys, as always. And I was just thinking to myself, where do I want to start? I want to start by covering the game first, the couple things, not too in depth in terms, not when I say not, it's going to be in depth, but it's going to be certain aspects of it that I wanted to cover with you guys. Now, let me know your thoughts on the game and what you guys are thinking. I'm just thinking, where do I want to start? What do I want to say? What do I want to do? Let me show you my chat and then I'll go into the clips because maybe I want to. There was a couple of things that I wanted to note from that game and discuss with you guys. Where is it? Let me share my chat. As always, folks, appreciate you guys for always liking, sharing, and subscribing. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal with that. Please do continue with that. Where is it? Here we go. There's my thread. It's good to be able to share my own thread with you guys as well. Where is it? There's a couple of things I want to pinpoint from it. And I wanted to also remind folks what I was, especially before I get into this one. Where is it? Here we go. So what I was looking for into this game and why I'm not necessarily, it's not even about the result, but I don't want to keep on banging on about why the result itself, you take it with a pinch of salt. There's a lot of people that are going mad about the result, but I don't want to get into a situation where you're kind of trying to talk down or play down results, and then it's not the point. The main point, what I wanted to do, and I released this particular post before the show, and you guys would be very familiar with it because we did the show together. Where I was saying what I think this particular game was going to be all about, and kind of what stage what stage the actual preseason kind of preparations were at this point. Where I think it's about the tactical experimentation. Things will be tested, things will be rotated, and we'll be learning things, and they will definitely rotate. We've got a whole different lineup, first of all, from it, and we also got uh, a totally different, pretty much nearly a totally different team in the second half as well. So Jaissle got to see the team or the squad pretty much in full flow. So you'd have the opportunity, as I was saying, the purpose of the stage would be to try different systems and styles. It would be Jaissle's style, obviously. Rotate the squad, test new partnerships. So we saw, for instance, in the pivot, we saw Joe Linton and Bamba in the previous game, for instance, against, was it Sociedad? I forgot the name of the team we played. I think it was Sociedad. We had Bamba and Ramsey. Then obviously check in, and then we had obviously in the number 10, we had a swap between Wissa and Osola in the number 10, but also in the number 9 position. So we got to see a bit of that. We saw Torre start on the left. Again, a really, really promising performance from him as well. Elanga on the right as well. Lewis Hall for the first time under Yas, that left back. How that went as well. Assess individual players who, like I said, I mentioned Torre in terms of, I think, players who did play well. I thought Torre was really, really good. Identify strengths and weaknesses. We're going to be talking about that, where we're at, and build chemistry and understanding between players. That's going to be a bit more difficult because Yas has just come in. So what I was looking for, style of play, which I think we got, especially in the first half, better pressing and organization, better. A lot, kind of, you can see in the first half, but in the second half, we're going to talk about why it's so different in the second half. Improved player distances, quicker ball circulation. I thought there was really pretty quick vertical attacks when we could get it. New tactical patterns appearing. I agree. We're passing very, very, very central. Players understanding their roles, intensity and energy levels, and young players taking their opportunities. And we saw a whole backline change, in the second half, as an example. And obviously, young Shaha was also given another opportunity to start right back. And I don't want to be the guy to say I told you so about Shaha in relation to him being ready or not. And he's not ready. And Eddie Howe was right not to start with him, not to play him in the Premier League. And it's not his fault. It's not that he's not a good player. He's just going to take time to develop. He's just going to take time to grow. And so he's neat and tidy on the ball. I think he lacks a bit of the physicality and athleticism where necessary. He lacks a bit of the confidence I think needed. Not when I say, I don't mean he's unconfident, but maybe, I don't know if that confidence is the right word, but the way Yas's system is, you need to really, really push up front, high up front, and also be ready to do recoveries when you can. I think he hasn't got the physicality, so therefore, and the athleticism, I think, so he's lacking a bit of what you need in that position to make it work. And I forgot to charge my switch on my laptop charger, for I was going to get switched off there for a minute, so back online. So that's for openers, right? Now, I want to get you guys' thoughts before I get fully into it. I see a few more chats as well in here. Let me get a drink. Because there's key things I wanted to discuss. I didn't necessarily want to go through every minute of the game, but there were key things I wanted to discuss and get you guys' thoughts on it. James says, I don't feel that we're going to use 4-4-2 formation. It doesn't fit the club well. Maybe there's something we'll see later on in his work club. Okay, that's interesting. Pro Club says on the Everton game, another NUFC fan channel said the team were there to get minutes and Everton's team were there to win, which I agree with. Hmm. Possibly. It's difficult to know because I'm not an Everton fan. I remember the commentators, who, by the way, were awful. I watched the game without commentary, I don't know if anybody else did, but I watched the game without commentary. I switched it off after 5, 10 minutes. It was just awful. It was just awful, and it was hurting my. Actually, after 2, 3 minutes, it was just hurting my experience of the game. Um, I think when they say we were just there to get minutes and Everton were there to win, it kind of gives the perception that we weren't trying. And I just think we're trying to do different things. And like I said earlier, I think we were trying to do different things in terms of experimenting, rotating players. Everton didn't really do that. I think this was their, but the commentators did mention this was Everton's seventh game. So they've been they've been at it for quite a bit. And obviously it's the same manager. So I don't know how their system is. It's not too dissimilar for what they play within the Premier League. So there's a lot of similarities. And the familiarity for the players and the system they're playing with. I think just both teams are at different stages of their progression and development. We're right at the beginning. We're at ground zero. So I just think the impression that comment makes it look like we didn't put the effort in, or we didn't really care about the game or something like that, which I don't think is the case. James says, but you also need to remember they've already played James says 7 friendlies. They already know they prepared formations and layout of players, but they're going to use for the start of the season. We've not even got to that part yet. Exactly. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk to kind of get back on in terms of what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, there was a good start to the game from Newcastle. We were putting Everton. What's the main thing I wanted to get out of it? What the main thing I wanted, the overall framework I wanted to get out of it before I get into like a couple in-depth stuff was this might help if I do this at the beginning. Let me find my team. Let me get the formation because I wanted to. There was two specific things I kind of wanted to get out in terms of my conclusion of the game that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Here's the Everton game. Okay, so let me share this instead. Maybe you guys can see it. Make sure you guys can see it. You can. Okay, so this is the first half team that we had. With Osola up front, Wilson at number 10, but like I said, they were swapping over. With the pivot of Joe Linton and Bamba, Joe Linton got some bad score on Super Score. But anyway, Hall, Botman, Chow, and Shaha with Hornicek making the defensive line. I thought in terms of the first half, when we're looking at what the purpose of preseason games are and what I think, especially what Jaissle's doing now, I think he's getting to his second week or week and a half for the team. Like I said, he's trying to rotate. He's trying to make sure what we want to be able to see is his system and his play style and his principles emergent, which, in my opinion, I think they are. I think we are seeing his play style and his system beginning to emerge, which is a good thing, right? So, for instance, especially in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, I thought we really, really controlled the game in terms of we were the initiators of, of the things going forward. There's opportunities for Sola to get to get a goal and everything else. We played forward, we played direct, at like any kind, most given opportunities possible. Players really, really try to push forward as often as possible, running in behind. There was some chances, pretty consistent. Maybe something even a little bit too much. But again, I think the players are doing what they're supposed to be doing, getting the ball over the top. Lots of line breaking passes, even from Joe Linton. I know from Joe Linton. Kind of getting it out to the players. Chow, Botman, in different stages of doing that as well. Torre, Wiss, and the Lang were making runs in behind, combining pretty well, okay. And we were able to pin Everton back at times. And for that period of time, now you could say it's a tactical thing, but at least for that period, from Everton's point of view, where they ceded territory to us, they wouldn't press us as much because we just kept them playing through them. But it was still good to see in the game. I thought our press, our intensity was pretty good in terms of pressing them and ensuring that they weren't able to play for the middle. And with Ursula's pressing, with Whistle not too far behind, and our fullbacks were doing really well, pushing up front, pushing further up as well. I thought we were pretty good at doing that in that first half. And you need your and you what I was going to say is that you need quality players to be able to pull off the type of game that uh, Jansel wants to play in terms of that intensity, in terms of that risk. We're playing a lot of ball centrally as well. I can't remember how to get the central part on this thing as well, because you can get central. You can be able to see the central passes through there. But so we're playing a lot of central passes as well, which is Jaissle's way, right? Is to do line breaking passes, is to get it through the middle, is to be as dangerous as often as possible, and to get these type of passes through the middle, right? Let me see if I can, for instance, look and zoom in on Bamba as an example, uh, which carries its own risk, because obviously a lot of teams avoid passing through the middle because teams can therefore break on you, as they did against us. But that is how Janssen wants to play, and that kind of leads me on to maybe some of the players that we're going to need in order to be able to pull off those type of passes and what we want to do. So, for instance, this is Bamba, right? This is Bamba, and you can see this the green successful passes as well as the red passes, right? Um, uh, he's got at least one red pass centrally here that didn't work out, but everything is forward, right? Everything is very, very central. I hate when SofaScore does this, man. But everything is very forward and very, very central. Where is it? Here we go. Very forward and very central. Let me see Joe Linton as well. Less passes again from him, but it's Joe Linton, right? Okay, so again, keeping things fairly central as well from his perspective, trying to get the ball out there. Let me see. I'm going to see Botman. So that carries its own risk, like I said, but it's also this is Jansel's style of play, and it worked for a time. The risk is in terms of how teams break on you. And so what Everton decided to do, which is what I think a lot of Premier League teams are going to do, is condense the central areas, and then when the ball does break, if and when the ball does break, they will then try to pick it up and obviously try and hit us on the break, which they did, which they did, and obviously they scored from those opportunities as well. So I want to talk about one of those chances and opportunities as well, and how it happened. There's something I want to say about it. So in terms of a preseason game, we are seeing Jansel's style of play and his principles emerge. That's the whole point of it, and it's going to take quality players in order to be able to pull it off. Is what I'm getting down to. So he hasn't got the players that he needs. And before we get too far, we're going to talk about transfers a little bit later. He hasn't got the system players that he needs to make this work. Let me see if you guys can see this. Yeah, you can. That's the part that's gonna take a little bit of time, and that's where I have some sympathy for Jansel. And you guys will remember from the show on Tuesday where we noted that from his press conference when they asked him, when he said to the press that he wished that they signed him, I'm paraphrasing, but he wished that he was signed to Newcastle earlier before their first signing. which is very, very revealing. And I think this game explains that to us a little bit more. So again, remember, there's a couple things in terms of especially the goals that we conceded is going to be telling about some of the vulnerabilities. I don't know if it's yes, I don't think it's a. I think the first goal that they scored via Barry, I don't necessarily think it's a system failure, more of a player situation, but it's another example of what has to happen, what type of players you need in order to make the system work. I'm not going to count the penalty. I'm not even sure it was a penalty, but I am going to also talk about the Tyreek George goal a little bit more because it's a bit of a system, but also a player situation where I thought um, where I see potential gaps and where it's also a conversation about players and systems within itself. Good to see my man Register Kev here. God bless you, sir. My man Bobby Fairview, good to see you. God bless you. He says, big up Philip and the Toon fans. I hope you're all doing well. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Wissa. Yeah, absolutely. Um, James says, I'm really happy with Luca. Amazing goalkeeper, to be honest. Yes, I am happy with him. I think he's been doing really, really, really well, considering. But let's talk about this first goal to kind of okay. So that's the one a little bit fast to talk about what I'm saying. So remember this. I remember back to what Louise Taylor was saying in her press conference of Janssen, where we're talking about how there's similarities with Janssen and Eddie Howe in terms of some similarities in terms of front-footed football, pressing, that element of intensity, which is good. But there's also vulnerabilities to that where we need to not being able to control the chaos a little bit more. And I think part of that, I take it part of that in terms of kind of our review is kind of being able to use possession to kill off of chaos, but also the other part is what to do when teams hit that quick turnover on us, which was a big thing, especially in terms of what affected Eddie Howe and his system. Now, obviously, they play a different system. They say they play a different system and everything. I don't want to get it confused, but there are some principles that are the same. Hence why I kind of mentioned Eddie Howe. And this goal encapsulates a little bit more that of what could happen if players aren't if you don't have the right players or you don't have the right system players to make this particular system work. So I don't necessarily think it's a system thing. I think it's a bit of a player thing. Okay, so again, what you didn't see is that it's a long ball up top. Everton managed to pick up a loose ball and they've launched it forward. They said forget playing at the back, forget trying to play through these guys. It's not working out. Now, what you may or may not see already is that Joe Linton and Bamba are just in front of the half space before Everton's half here. So they're deep in Everton's half. So both Joe Linton and Bamba, excuse me, are in Everton's half, and they're marking a Hayden Hackney here. And I don't know who that's on the right side. I think it's possibly Dewsbury Hall, with obviously the rest of our guys are landing up there. So Everton said, forget it. We're not doing this, passing through them, trying to do that. It's just not working out for us, right? So there's a couple things already that's happening here. So you got the two weights. So you got the two pivots, supposed pivots, are already in Everton's half. Now there's a conversation to be had where we're saying, should both of them be up front or should one of them be up front? So both of them went up anyway. And so it's left Chow to press up against Tieno Barry here and kind of go on a one-on-one verse against him to try and win the header. But when Chow does this, and he's meant to be the proactive defender, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. When Chow does this, he has to win the ball. We're going to see Botman in a minute, and there's a lot of conversation about Botman. Botman does the right thing. He positions himself to pick up a loose ball should it like bounce back towards the area, or should Tiano Barry win it, right? What we're going to see is Chow does not win the header. That was the first mistake. He has to win this header. If Chow wins the header, then we can start back to attacking again very, very quickly with our 2-8s up front. I think we probably win that ball. We pick up the loose ball, right? So that's where the system does work. The conversation is to be had, though, is should both Joe Linton and Bamba be here, right? So okay, so he's here with Barry. He gets on the wrong side of Barry. He misjudges. You can see where he's at. Chow misjudges the flight of the ball. He misjudges the flight of the ball, and Botman is just behind him here. I think he's positioned correctly in terms of how it's supposed to be. One defender goes up, one stays back, and is there to pick up the loose ball, right? Obviously, Lewis Hall's here with Njai. Another question is, do we always want to be in this kind of man-to-one man marking situations with tricky wingers like Njai, right? That's another question for us. If either Joe Linton, and the other thing I wanted to say, if either Joe Linton or Bamba are back here next to Chow or in between the centre backs, this situation gets killed off pretty quickly. Even if the ball bounces and gets to Hayden Hackney, the situation can still be contained because you've got 3 or 4 defenders up here. But now we've created a situation where the defender's about to lose the ball and we're going to be on the back foot. So Chow totally, you can see already, Chow totally misjudges the flight of the ball. It goes behind him and Tiano Barry. That's how badly he's misjudged it. And look, Joe Linton and Bamba are still here. They're still in Everton's half. And in the situation already, we're in a 2v2. We're about to be in the 2v2. And we're about to enter the second phase. My view at this stage is now it's Botman's turn. Botman's got to make a decision. Do I go for the ball or do I hand back and try to contain Tiano Barry until Chow is able to get back and try and make a challenge? Botman decides to go for the ball, and he too, like Chow, misjudges it, and you're going to see Tiano Barry get past him. And that's where that's the situation where all hell breaks loose and it becomes a problem. Note that both Joelinton and Bamba are still in Everton's half. They're even slowing down at this point because partly because I think they're anticipating maybe Botman gets to it. But this is where you need a defensive-minded 6 to say, yes, Botman's going for this, but Botman could still miss this. I should get on the cycle. I should get on the bike. I should get on my bike and still get back. At least one of us will still be at the other end. He misjudges it. Botman misjudges it. Tiano Barry's job is so much easier at this point. Now we're in a 2v2. We're about to be in the 2v2. And all it was is one long ball over the top past 8-9 players, and we're in a 2v2. One long ball over the top. That's the situation we're in. One over the top, and now we're back, and now we're in a 1v1 where it's going to take Lewis Hall now. Charles chasing Barry, but Barry's quick. And now we're going to find out a little bit later, Lewis Hall manages to get across, but he leaves Njai by himself. So it's all problems. It's all 2 versus 1 situation. And it all starts from Chow misjudging the flight of the ball, causing that particular havoc there. The question already before that is, should one of the Joe Linton or Bamba should have hang back, and at least that would have avoided that particular situation. But they stayed up front. They didn't get on their bikes. They didn't anticipate the situation, and now we're in a 1v1 situation. Chow is now racing to get back to Barry. Hall manages to get across really well, leaving Njai by himself. Njai is by himself. He had to do it, right? Hall manages to get across, and we got an opportunity here to recover the ball, right? Hall manages to get across. He makes the right decision, right? And this is the part, we're going to get to the part where now It's not Botman that's the problem. It's what Chow does that's the problem in the situation. Now, Hall does really well to get across. He manages to get the ball amidst the scramble, right? Tieno Barry collapses. Chow is in the penalty box, and then Jai is about to get onto the ball. Hall again manages to get the ball off Jai, just about. But look at this. Look at this. Hall gets the ball, but where's Joe Linton? Where's Bamba? They're still not here. And in fact, I don't know who this is. I don't know if it's Dewsbury Hall, but whoever this player is for Everton that's about to collect the ball, they were behind Joe Linton and Bamba. When this initial situation happened, they were behind Joe Linton and Bamba. Where is Joe Linton and Bamba in the situation? They're nowhere to be seen. And now we're in a situation where it's 3 versus 3. Okay, fine. Now the collection. I don't know who this is. I think it's Hayden. I think it's Hayden Hackney actually. He was behind both of them. So he's sprinted past both our pivots. This is what pivots are for. This is what Jaissle's got the pivots for, to protect the defense from these type of situations. And neither of them are there. Anyway, Hackney picks up the ball. Look where Chow is. Chow is here, right? He picks up the ball. Botman looks, he sees Chow here, right? But that's Botman's position. So Botman's about to position himself where he's supposed to be. And as Chow now needs to move across back to the RCB position where Barry is. So Botman is doing the right thing. Botman is positioning himself where he's supposed to be. Chow needs to go into his position, which is in the RCB position, to cut off that pass, right? But he doesn't. And that's where the opening is created, and we're having to scramble here at a situation. Bearing in mind again, our two pivots are still not here. Even the referee is here. But Bamba and Joe Linton aren't here. The referee is here. And I always say this. I wish I would do these breakdowns before I go on the show. I'll be less frustrated, sounding less frustrated and angry. Apologies, guys. It's when I'm doing it during the show. It's literally all coming out now. Anyway, Bamba and Joe Linton are still not here. Hayden Hackney is. The referee is. Bamba and Joe Linton aren't here. Chow is in the wrong position. He should be on the other side. Botman does actually do the right thing. He goes to the position where he's supposed to be at. He's positioned himself. It doesn't work out. It leaves Tieno Barry free. Still no sixes inside. Chow is scrambling because he's meant to be in the position that he's in. He's not there, and it's the easiest goal they'll ever score in their lives. So I don't know how many individual mistakes you guys have counted there. I lost count, right? From Chow missing the flight of the ball, from neither Joe Linton or Bamba showing any kind of defensive mindset and expecting maybe for Chow to miss the flight of the ball and to get on their bikes. They're still not here. Even once the goal is scored, Hayden Hackney manages to get there. He runs past them. The referee runs past them, and he's still there. Neither of our pivots are there. The pivots are supposed to screen the back four. That's the whole job. That's Jaissle. That's part of Jaissle's system. Neither of them are there. They misjudge the flight of the ball, and then you get Botman misjudging the ball as well. Maybe the better choice would have been to stay where he is and slow Barry down. It didn't work. He went for it. We still had an opportunity to get the ball back. Lewis Hall did really, really well to scramble and to get the ball back. But it broke loose to Hayden Hackney. It should have broke loose to one of our pivots who should have been there, but it didn't, right? So Hayden Hackney picks it up. Botman does the right thing. He positions himself at the LCB position. Chow should have positioned himself at his RCB position. He didn't, and he left Barry open. Hayden Hackney made a very easy, simplest pass in his life to Barry, who had all the time in the world to finish it off. So that's not a Jansel system, in my opinion. It's an individual error, an individual problem that we created for ourselves, right? So, and that's coming in a period during the game where I felt that we showed the initiative. I felt that we controlled the game in large parts, and we were doing what we were supposed to be doing in terms of kind of following the Jansel system and kind of scoring goals and those type of things. That kind of not scores, creating chances and scoring goals. I'm going to talk about the Tyreek George goal in a minute as well, where it's a bit of the Jansel system and it's a bit of what we're doing before I talk about our goal as well, because it shows everything that's good about the Jansel system as well. But let me just see what you guys are saying before I get into it. Register Kev is happy that we're going from Belieber. I don't think, unfortunately for you, it's Craig Hope who dropped it. And if it's Craig Hope, then I love Craig Hope. It's cool, but it's not likely to happen. Big up to my man Kevin Hawthorne from Lake Roman, Florida. God bless you, sir. Oh, jeez. Andrew says, when I was a young player, our coach used to always say to us, either the ball goes past you or the man does, never both. Exactly. That's exactly. Exactly. Andrew says, I don't think any of our back four came out of that game well. Yeah. Yeah. Can't disagree with you. Register Kev says, "Don't worry, Hall. Don't worry, Hall. You have Manu here next time to collect it. You know, Manu isn't getting back there. You know, Register Kev, Manu isn't getting back there. The referees are faster than Manu." Andrew says, "If we're going to play a double pivot, Bamba needs to be alongside proper six. DM someone who looks upon defenders as an art. Joe Linton is not that man. He's not. Hence why we're looking at Hoiberg. I know, okay, whether people, it's not about Hoiberg, but we're looking for a player like Hoiberg. Let's not get on minds whether we like Hoiberg or not. But Hoiberg would be the guy that's telling him, get back now. He knows how to play the six. Ask Tottenham fans like I did. James says, this is why I think the 4-2-3-1 fits us a lot more, because we still seem not to float. We seem to not float well, support the defense. You mean the rest defense? For me, it's not, like I said, it could be, you could be right, but this is, for me, this is an individual thing. This is an individual player thing. How is the referee there before Joe Linton and Bamba? How can the referee be there before Joe Linton and Bamba? Can anybody tell me how the referee there can be there before Joe Linton and Bamba? Never mind Hayden Hackney, who was behind the play when it first happened, behind both Joe Linton and Bamba before it happened. How did the referee get past Joe Linton and Bamba? How did he get there before them? Andrew says we should never be in a 3-3 situation with a double pivot. Exactly. That's it. So Jansel's watching that and thinking, how is that happening? Raymond saying, okay, it's my we will talk about him in a moment. Big up to you, Raymond, though. I'll take Newcastle believer that will him right up. I don't get that. Sorry. Andrew Graham says, in the second half, our entire back four and goalkeeper had 0 senior appearances combined. It shows how inadequate squad actually is. Not the goalkeeper, I'm in the Premier League. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It was academy players, but this is situations happen with our first team players. This needs to be rectified real quick, because Liverpool will be chomping at the bit at something like this. All right. So, like I said, the part that we just saw, I feel, is not to do with Jansel's system, in my opinion. It's nothing to do with Jansel's system. Andrew talked about it. Some others have talked about it. A double pivot is supposed to be there for these type of situations. That's what double pivot is for. is to avoid these type of situations. Hayden Hackney ran past Bamber and Joe Linton. The referee ran past Bamber and Joe Linton. Uh, all had time to watch the goal game in. Now, Chow had individual problems there. Botman a little bit as well, and it was just crazy. Now, the goal of Tyreek George is an interesting one because what I've noticed in terms of how teams are scoring goals is that because we play narrow, and that is a system thing, that is part of what we're doing. Because we play narrow, there's a benefit to that, right? And you guys have noticed in terms of playing narrow, the players are closer to each other, and we're combining and we're networking passes a lot more quick, a lot more, and we're getting and we're getting a lot quicker to the goal that way. And when I show the third goal, it shows you what happens when that particular system works really, really well. But the the I'm not going to say the flaw. I'm going to say because it's purposely like that, being narrow for that particular. We on purpose by design leave those half spaces on the flanks open, right? And that's where you need again your pivots and your fullbacks to be proactive in closing those particular spaces down. We conceded that goal against Sociedad. If you guys remember that first goal from that half space, Baltimore didn't react quickly enough. The guy had time to to set himself up, but then hit it top bins. All right. There was also a chance that Everton created before this goal happened, where I can't remember who it was, but I think it was more of a pass rather than the dribbler, and they just knocked the ball in early into our box, and Hornacek was able to make an early save. In fact, let me show you because I think it shows it on this highlight. I think it happened here. Yeah, here. Right. This is them. This is Everton's number 2. This is Everton's number 2, right? It's their fullback. So the fullback pushes up, right? And just remember this half space. So by design, now because we play narrow, these type of spaces begin to open up for people, right? And obviously it's not a Tyreek. For instance, if it was Tyreek George, he probably drives with it because it's a fullback. I don't know who the number 2 is. He decides to take an early pass. So, but this is by design, right? And this is where we need to be a little bit. We need to be a lot more better in reacting to the situation. Again, Joe Linton is here. Bamba's a bit behind the play as well. And we're in a situation where it's 2 versus 3 in terms of our back line. The ball goes in early, right? Literally between our centre backs. And who runs in behind? Shaha, by the way, is lets his man get in behind him. Bamba's not there either. But fortunately, Hornacek makes the stop. So that half space there isn't closed down. I don't think Joe Linton or Tory in the situation are active enough to stop the cross from coming in, but also Shaha and Bamban there. But that's an early warning of what happens, obviously, when people get into that half space in front of the play. Now, moving forward now with Mr. Tyreek George, he's different, right? So he drives us. He collects it from this half space as well. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, brilliant. I was worried for a minute. I thought you guys couldn't see it. You're going to see, again, from that half space, in this, like just on the flight, but on that half space. Now, Tyreek George is different. He can dribble, right? He's a tricky winger, just like a lot of wingers are in the Premier League, right? He managed to get himself in this half space. Again, we've got 4 academy players who are scared out of their lives. They're running back. They're creating. They're running faster than what our supposed double pivot can do, and they're creating a lot of space as a result of that for Beto, for I don't know who this other guy is, and for Tyreek George to get into. Murphy can't get big quick enough. From Stir, who had a decent game coming on, again, very good passer. But again, this is where I was talking about athleticism and everything else. I just don't think he has it there to get into the recovery pace to get enough there. But anyway, Everton have a lot of space here to create a lot of situations. The fullback here is almost showing his back to him, which is a bad situation. You shouldn't be doing that, right? So to the point where Tyreek George is able to stop and start, and then everyone is forced back again. Again, I can't see where the other midfielders are, where the double pivot is. They're all gone. Tyreek George has time to get into this tons of space again. He's got time to look up. I don't know who this is here. I think it's Ramsey. He's got time to look up. Look up again. Takes his time. Someone runs in. I don't know who this Everton player. I think it's Hayden Hackney again. It causes all sorts of trouble. Pressing onto our centre backs. He's able to get in front, gets through our back line again. They got time to make things up. Again, tons of space through the middle here. And it all happened from this flank area here. They got time. Tyreek George gets into it. The the double pivot isn't pivoting because nobody's looking for these runs into the box. The centre backs are scared. Everyone's static, right? Tyreek George is able to pick it up. Great great spin, turn, and goal. But it all starts from that half space here. There's a lot wrong with this, right? From when Tyreek George picks it up. I'm not going to blame the academy players too much, but they're not ready, right? They're clearly not ready. Our, Ramsey, Sean Sturr, they don't have the defensive mindset to look for the runs in behind. Who's communicating to watch out for the late runs from the likes of Hayden Hackney, from the likes of all the fullbacks? There's nobody there. And the goal goes in. So I think there's a lot there for Jaissle to ponder in terms of how he's going to address this type of situation. But there's no way that Everton should be able to get into a half that easily, play around our box that easily, spin off and score goals that easily. And that's an issue, that's a problem that needs to be addressed. And so my conclusion was, after watching the first and second half, and obviously I know we made tons of change and everything else, my conclusion was that in the first half, we had near enough a full team. You can see that the Jaissle system. Oh, here. The last thing I wanted to show was our goal. I'm going to get to, before I get to my conclusion, I do want to show. So you saw, like I said, by design, we play fairly narrow. And by design, you've got these little half spaces on the flank areas that need to be defended by proactive fullbacks, pivots, as well as by our pivots, and to be able to stop and to be reactive to any dangers that are there. But this is why we play narrow. This part here, this is when the system works. This is the really, really good and positive part of the system here. Why we play centrally, why we play through the middle, and when it works in full effect, it looks like this. It's really, really good, right? So Sean Sturr picks up the ball, right? The two CBs split up, and this allows obviously the midfielders to push up. You get this kind of diamond kind of situation with Ramsey dropping in behind dropping in just behind Beto here. But you can see obviously Everton are fairly relaxed. They're 3-0 up. They are defending fairly deeply as well. So I'm not quite a low block, but very close to a low block. But so Newcastle have a lot to do if they're going to be able to score. So this is good. So they pick up the ball, obviously, like I said, because they got an extra man up front as a result of the two CB splitting with Sean Sturr here. It allows us to get through that first phase fairly good. Now, Sean Sturr is good at carrying the ball. He bursts past Beto pretty well, which then gives him another option to get the ball up there. And what's his orders? His orders are, don't pass safely to the flanks, go straight through the middle. We've got this, and because he does that, it passes this, makes this line breaker. And because we've got players that are close together, you're going to see combination passes that allows us to break quickly and to move the ball very fast and to get in behind Everton really quick. And by the way, a really good half turn from Willock. He takes one touch, then second touch, he gets off. Now you got Jacob Murphy here on the right, who earlier made a mistake by shooting rather than crossing. This time he decides to cross the ball. But just through literally two passes there, we get in behind Everton's lines, and we've got like a 3-4 situation very, very, very quickly with two on the back line pressing on that centre back here. The fullback isn't able to get back in time because he was busy trying to mark the two pivots down here. This is how it should work. Very quick, very, very quick break through the middle, bang. This is what Jansel's trying to do. This is the benefits of it. When you play centrally, when you got line breaking passes, when you've got that combination through the middle, you can move the ball fast, you can move it quick, you can be a threat really, really, really quickly. And you saw that Everton were in a fairly low block hit there, right? We were able to get past them really, really quick through that combination play, line breaking passes, half turn swivels, and really good quality across the box and finishes as well. We were able to have 2-versus-1 situations, which Everton weren't able to control. So that's the good part of it, right? And we saw the other part, kind of, which was where it also opens us up to those kind of half spaces on the flanks there. And so there's got to be some kind of working out in terms of what we do in those type of situations. So my conclusion was, before I go to the chat, was that when Newcastle have, in the first half, when Newcastle were pretty much at full strength, what you saw more, why we ended up losing that half 2-0 wasn't a system problem. It was more of, in my opinion, an individual player problem, right? Because we weren't conceding type of goals that we conceded in the second half in terms of those half spaces, because our fullbacks, like Hall especially, pushed up high and were proactive. Our pivots were lazy, and that's what caused the problems. But our fullbacks are pushing high, right? So that's an individual situation. In the second half, what you see is we did not have the quality of player or the system of player to make the system work. And if anything, that was very evident in both halves. Not having a defensive-minded six would have prevented, in my opinion, the Barry goal from going in. And you can also see in the second half here, not having a defense-minded six would have probably prevented the Tariq George from going in too. There would have been a lot of preventable situations here had we had a defense-minded six. I also think, though, that we need a target man of like someone of the same profile and mold of a João Pedro who can make the ball stick. Especially we're going to continue playing centrally like this. Teams know we're going to play centrally like this, and they're going to be setting themselves up to break quickly, break in a certain way to be able to hurt us and to be able to get in behind. And therefore, you need not only a target man who can make the ball stick more often than not, so we can have more goals like this, but you also need a defense-minded six who can prevent the type of goals we conceded as a result of passing essentially and teams breaking on us. I also think we need a 10. Obviously, we had Wissa and Osola playing in the 10 yesterday, and they were okay. But I think Wissa far more prefers to play in the number 9, and I think Osola is better playing in the spaces. If anything, I would have Osola playing as a left wing forward or a left winger, because the way he can bully fullbacks rather than playing in those kind of intricate areas through the middle, like that as a number 10, which you need someone who prefers to play either with their back to goal, with a half turn, with a passing range, with a ball carrying ability, to make that whole system come together and work together to make the ball stick, either through the 10 or through a target man 9. So in my opinion, we're short of a 6, we're short of a 10, we're short of a target man 9 in order to make Janssel's system work. And so when Janssel's asking for and demanding for, quite rightly, two um, uh, for players, I think he's right to do that for sure. And let's not mention the fullback situation where Tino Livramento should have been playing, but obviously he's injured. Obviously, we're trying to deal with that at the moment. I understand that Dedic is already playing today and actually got an assist, but hopefully that can be rectified. So I think there's definitely three uh, kind of situations where Newcastle need at least three to make this particular system work. But let me know what you guys are saying before we move on to the scouting report itself. Hopefully, I wasn't. Hopefully, I wasn't. I felt whilst I was doing that, I felt I was more disappointed than I realized um, with some of the stuff that we did. Quite honestly. Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to find myself in terms of the comments. Uh, Andrew says, hopefully the big difference for the Liverpool game will be 50,000 Geordies. Exactly. Roaring the team on because of Isak coming back for the first time. Exactly. There's going to be that. There's going to be that. Absolutely. Andrew Graham says, so basically, Philip, summing up, it was a total. um, from some of the players, it was. From some of the players, it was. But it's clear. It's quite clear what's going on. It's not rocket science. You know, I haven't got the systems and the personnel around me like Janssen will have, but me at home with my laptop and camera, kind of breaking down the game with you guys, we can all see even Stevie Wonder can see what the situation is here, right? So, and I think the owners will soon be watching this, and it'll be obvious. Like it's very, very clear to everybody what is needed. He hasn't got his players. Yanto doesn't have his players. It's very, very obvious. Very, very, very obvious. I'm also mindful that Miley isn't playing. Um, and could that make a difference? Quite possibly. So that's something to look forward to as well. But I don't want to rely on that necessarily. I do think we need an old head of a Hoiberg profile and age to make this count. We need someone in charge on the pitch to make this tactical situation work, in my opinion. Anyway, Daniel Kane, don't know if it's your first time here, but God bless you. Welcome to the show. Good evening, Good evening, sir. God bless you. We need at least four players: a right back, yeah, exactly, yeah, a right back, a right back, a right back, a centre mid, top centre mid, no more young guns, and right winger. Oh yes, and a right winger. Absolutely, that's the fourth one. I agree. A right winger or a left winger? A right winger. I agree. When Murphy goes and then attacking mid or striker, I'm worried we won't score. I am too. And is Murphy going because Brennan Johnson is going to Everton? Is he going instead of Jacob Murphy? Can anybody confirm that? Because, geez, I'll be worried if that's the case. Andrew Graham says Shaha needs a season-long loan at Championship club or a top League One team. Yeah, I think he might need a couple, in my opinion. Andrews, the likes of Ramsey and Murphy and Barnes should be stepping up and showing some leadership in that second half. That's the other thing. Actually, I didn't get to show it. Part of what caused these situations where Tyreek George is able to get into the half spaces so easily is because our front three could not press in the same way our front three could in the first half. So Solo Wissa did a really good job in pressing, I believe. I believe he did a really good job in pressing. Um, Voldemort can't press in that same way. That's the problem. That's another decision that needs to be made about Voldemort. Voldemort, just loan him out, guys. Newcastle, just loan him out. It's not going to work for him here. It's going to be even worse for him. It does not work. Voldemort does not work in the Premier League. He does not work in the Yansel system. It's just not going to work. He's supposed to be. Everyone was telling me. Forget that. Actually, I'm going on the wrong path. He doesn't work in the 10, and he doesn't work in a as a striker. He doesn't work in the Premier League. La Liga would be amazing for him. Serie A would be amazing for him. Not the Premier League, not a Jansel Newcastle United team. We're looking for a forward who can make the ball stick. He can't do that. We're looking for a number 10 who can get the ball in the half space. It could be good in tight areas, protect the ball, back to goal, be a ball carrier, be a part. He can't do any of those things. He can't do any of those things. He can't do any of those things. Andrew Graham says the Sean Stir pass that took 4 Everton players out the game. Beautiful, beautiful, and he can do that all. So it's like half the problem is solved in terms of the players that can break the lines. Sean Stir can do it. Ramsey can do it. Botman on his day can do it. There's somebody else that's on my mind. I can't. Miley can probably do it. They can all do it. The problem is on the other end is the people who are going to be receiving those balls. The one guy who did it really well was Willock, but Willock's going to go as well, and he's in a different plane at the moment. James says, I'd rather we play him as a backup. Andrew, okay, sorry, too much yourselves there. Andrew says, if we can't get one before Liverpool, and that's a big possibility, does he do then? Because I have no confidence that any of our midfielders have the vision, creativity, or passing ability of Stur. Miley does, but is Miley going to play? When Jansen's not playing, he's saying we're not going to be. It's obvious we're not going to be at our peak. We're not going to be at our peak for sure. So I think we do. I think of a little bit more, but I know how much you rate Sean Stur. Andrew says we can't play with 10 until we get 2 DMs who are up to it, or we'll get murdered in transition. I'll take just one who can position the players. But yes, I hear where you're coming from for sure. Andrew says Stevie Wonder would have done a better job than Botman. I'm not as hard on Botman in this game. I see the avalanche that he's getting, but I'm not as hard on him. Yes, he made that mistake there, but that was again something that was caused by Chow. That's something also caused by our defensive sixes. And the thing is, when you have a system like that, you're meant to have players who can account for those marginal areas. That's what the pivots. That's the whole point of a pivot, like you said, to screen those type of situations. And I don't think Botman does that challenge if he knew he's got the midfielders that will protect him. James says, but I wouldn't mind a striker loan. Oh, for Voldemort, yeah, I think we should set him. Andrew says Voldemort is looking more and more like a panic buy last summer. Absolutely. Oh, of course, he was like the 6th or 7th signing we made last summer. Absolutely ridiculous. Spend so much on a player who doesn't seem to fit any system we can play. I agree. Don't know if it's the first time to the channel, still Badad, but God bless you. Welcome. I said I've got some interesting news about Dedic. I can't confirm, but it's promising news. Let us know what it is still, but it'd be good to hear. I can't pronounce the name, my friend. It's long, but welcome to the show. God bless you. He says, all right, Phil, it's been a while. All right, Phil, it's been a while since I was here. Was at the game last night. So he was there. It was the game last night. It's a bit concerning that we need to understand. We need to understand time here. I'm confident we get it. We need some solid quality in midfield. I totally agree. Totally agree. And welcome back to the show as well. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. Yeah, you're absolutely right about the midfield situation. Absolutely right. James says, Phil, I'm thinking like an option to support us, like a Nicholas Jackson will be phenomenal for us. I'll take Liam Delap. I know how people feel about Liam Delap. I know how you guys feel about Liam Delap. I will take Liam Delap. I just need someone to make the ball stick. But Jackson, absolutely. Phil, I'm just thinking about an option like to support us like Nicholas Jackson loan for a season. Then we can either move on a Wissa or a Sola. I think Chelsea aren't loaning anybody, but I see what you're saying. A type of player like Jackson, I absolutely agree. Andrew says if the Dedic transfer was close, we wouldn't have played. He wouldn't have played Benfica tonight. Yes and no. I think there's still some benefit to him continuing his preseason. He himself still has got to have a preseason, whichever way you look at it, right? So we know that he's fit. If we need him, we know that he's fit and he's ready to play. So, but I understand in terms of the other side is there's a risk to that in terms of not in terms of him playing that kind of being a problem that being in that situation as well. So there's lots there to make that Janssen situation. In conclusion, right? Like I said, to make the Janssen system work, to make it work to its optimum, right? And no system is perfect. There's no system that's going to cover every area of the field, be perfect at every phase of the game, even with the perfect players, right? Some systems, obviously, you're going to have some systems that are going to be, more better than others, obviously, right? So Jansen's going to have that. But what Janssen doesn't have, which is what to make any system work, is the players to make it work. And I think he's at least 3 or 4 players shy of being able to do that, which is a target man up front, a number 10 to be able to carry and connect the play, a minimum of one DM of a Højbjerg profile who can organize the midfield, who can organize help to organize the backline and screen and protect the backline, have a defensive mindset to protect that backline. Not what we just reviewed and discussed here just now, a defensive mindset to prevent a lot of the stuff that we could have prevented today in order to make it work. But also, obviously, I would love a right winger as well to be able to make it count. Maybe a second dynamic number 8 of a Bergvall, should I say, type as well. All of that would be great. But I'm just saying this. We've got 3 weeks to go. And I just think to make that system work at the minimal stage, at like a floor stage to make it work, we need at least 3 players: the 10, the 9, and the 6, the spine, to make it work. In my opinion. All right, so we're just going to quickly, before I go to chat, just do a quick check in terms of if there's any transfer. Obviously, we spoke about we're going to speak about Dedic in a moment. So it's going to be a quick one on him because obviously he has played today, but he's also supposed to be close. So we'll see. But I do want to do, speaking of sixes, I want us to talk about Tyler Morton, who was linked to Newcastle in May. Come on, where are you? So I'm just looking for the latest, and I want to be able to. I don't know why I didn't bookmark it. It's so annoying. Some interesting quotes from Mr. Silva, but he's obviously managing Benfica. Let me get you guys into this. So Mr. Silva is saying, I'm guessing this is a direct quote from him, Marco Silva. The back four defensive line that started today probably won't play again this season. So take that how you want, but it looks like he's expecting exits. I'm just trying to get the Fabrizio Romano. We've got Nicolas Shearer saying, let me get this on as well. Let me just get the Nicolas. You guys can see that. So Nicolas Shearer says Dedic has agreed personal terms for a contract until 2031 with Newcastle, which are ready to pay 30 million to Benfica to close the deal. So that's there. I'm trying to find the Fabrizio Romano one. It's taking me absolutely ages. I'm going to read the comments in a moment as well. Dedic. Where are you, Dedic? Fabrizio. Obviously, the right back who's, I think they were saying that he got an assist today as well. Dedic did. So he sounds like he's up and firing. To Johnny Ryan, this is going to Saudi. Come on, where are you? Come on. Dedic, where are you? Oh, here we go. Got it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, big up. I don't know if I just had a raid. Looks like I just had a raid. God bless the guys. Let me know who did the raid. God bless you guys that have managed that are here as well. Great to have you guys. Good to see Villa fan. Good to see you, my man. Villa having a great time. God bless you, sir. Jackson, I don't think he's on 200k. I think it's like on 150, 160, something like that. I think it's going to Villa. Another channel said he played tonight. He did. Newcastle request to make him cup tied, so a club in European competition won't hijack the deal. Wow, that's some that is some paranoid moves there. If we really did that, it sounds paranoid from our half. Honestly, that sounds paranoid. Well, it's not really paranoid because it's happened, right? It makes sense. My man El Capo. I'm gonna say El Capo. I'm gonna if that's okay. I'm gonna call you El Capo because he's got a long name. He says, we need to add pace at the back. We are very thin on the ground. I really think our transfer targets are the right ones, or the right ones need to get some of that work over the line. Absolutely do not drop 100 million on anyone. No, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. James says, I do feel right wingers more or less than the striker would rather not pay the money on the striker at the moment. I would. I honestly would. I think we've got the money. For sure we need a striker or a target man. I think so. I don't think Wisser and Wasoda. Wisser can do a functional job. I don't think he can do. I don't think he can do what needs to do. Oh, it's Kaz Ray. God bless Kaz. Big up Kaz and big up all you guys. The guys that came here on Tuesday as well were phenomenal, by the way. You guys dropped a lot of likes, and there was a couple subs as well. So God bless you guys for that, man. You guys are proper, which is the least I expect from folks that come from Kaz's channel. So God bless Kaz. Big up Kaz for that. We are just catching up on some transfer news in relation to Dedic. Naf Ray, big up Naf, big up and never a foul. The folks there, God bless them. Big up to you, Boston AC. God bless you. God bless you, Chills. God bless you. I can't say that. You guys got some long names, man, but big up to you. God bless my man. Kunle, good to see you, sir. You're becoming a regular on here, sir. Good to have you, man. Andrew says, maybe Ross Wilson and the medical team in Edinburgh. That would be wise. Yeah, tomorrow, be interesting to see if he goes back with Benfica team or heads to Newcastle with the medical team. I agree. And that'd be good. That would be good. Still, but Dad says, read my last comment, Philip. It was apparently an emotional goodbye on the pitch. Or was it? Was it? Hopefully we get him over the line. Big up God bless you, Frank Hammersmith, like it is. Big up Cash Raid. Well done. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are proper. Mammoth is on Mamouche, I think, is on 300k a week. He doesn't fit with the club at all. No, I agree. So let's touch on Dedic news in the at the moment before we do the scouts report on Mr. Tyler Morton, who's very interesting to me. I want to get you guys' take on Tyler Morton. I'm very, very curious to get you guys' take. Now, we've talked about Mr. Dedic. already. Like folks have said, he played for Benfica today. I think they won 5-0, and I think Dedic got an assist as well. We did a scouting report on him. He's obviously a right fullback, which is something that we really, really need because our right fullback cannot stay fit in Livramento, even though Jansson would love a Livramento type of fullback. So hopefully we're getting fit. But whilst he's away, we've got Mr. Amar Dedic. And this was the news today, not only from Fabrizio Romano, but from the likes of Ben Jacobs. We just saw Nicola Shearer saying something similar, but obviously Mr. Romano put his stamp of approval. He's got 2.6 million views on this. Says Newcastle are closing in on Amar Dedic deal with an exclamation point. I think he reposted it as well. Someone was saying that he reposted it. You guys can confirm that. Personal terms agreed with the 23-year-old fullback. Dedic wants NUFC move an agreement at final stages. He wants Newcastle. It's only Newcastle. Final stages with Benfica for a final fee of 30 million euro package, which is probably about 25 million pounds, right? That's about 25 million pounds, which I think would be good money. Now, we all know that Dedic played under Jansel in Salzburg, RB Salzburg, in 22-23 season, I think, when they won the Austrian league there together as well. So he's very, very familiar with the Jansel system. And I read a little bit more about, obviously, he then obviously was loaned out to Marseille under De Zerbi. We read a little bit more about that situation where he just didn't fit the De Zerbi model and system that was there. And what they didn't add in that report was that they were making him play left back more than they were playing right back, which is part of the situation that made it difficult. It's a new system. It was a new system. Excuse me, not only is it a new system, but also he's playing in a position he can play in that position, but it's not necessarily his best position. Playing for Newcastle is, I'm not going to say I don't want anybody to get injured, but there's a likelihood he's going to have to rotate positions. Put it that way. So it didn't favour him in the way that it would have had he played in a different system. He went to Benfica, where obviously he's had a more positive goal this time in terms of playing for the team. He's doing here as well, and that's obviously earned his move to Newcastle United. So under Jansel, he'll know exactly who the coach, his system, his principles, his playing style. He'll know that he'll be playing to his strengths. So it's pretty much Jansel will feel happier because he has a man that knows how he wants to play and what he wants to do. And some of the situations that we saw in the half spaces on the flanks that we're talking about, because we play narrow, where you need the fullbacks to know when to push up, to know when to be reactive, as well as proactive, to avoid wingers, fullbacks from the opposition to be able to either pass or cross early or drive. You need those kind of fullbacks as well as the double pivots to be able to react and stop those type of situations happening in the first place. Obviously, Mr. Dedic will know all about that, and Jansson will know all about him. The only thing for Mr. Dedic is that it's the Premier League. It's not Austria. It's not Portugal. It's the Premier League. So he's going to find the intensity in this league, the competition and the caliber of players a lot more harder and more difficult to deal with. So there's going to be an adjustment period for him too as well. But hopefully we'll be able to get some confirmation on Mr. Dedic. And like Andrew Graham was saying, hopefully we get some news that, within a medical Dedic in Edinburgh or maybe even in Newcastle, because literally it's an hour away for that as well. Hopefully I get to see him. And guys, like I said, I'm going to go to the pre-season, to the Visit Malta Cup at Newcastle on Saturday and Sunday. I'll be flying in. If you guys are there, if you recognize me or if you get to see me or whatnot, please make sure you say hello, give me a fist bump or whatever. God bless you guys. It'd be really, really good to see folks up there. So hopefully, I get to see. I'll see Jansson and others in person. Hopefully we see Mr. Dedic in person. And that would be really, really good. Hopefully, you see our striker or number 10 or DM in person. That'd be really, really good. But okay, so that's the situation. Like I said, I really, 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 really want a target man striker. If uh, to make that system work, I think we need that. We need a number 10 who's good with his back to goal, creative on the ball as well as passing. And we need a defensive minded six, an experienced six in the profile shape of it doesn't have to be specifically Hoiberg if you don't like Hoiberg, but someone of that same ilk, in my opinion. I personally think Hoiberg would be more than fine, but that's me. As well as, if we can, a midfielder, another dynamic eight, if possible. We've got 3 weeks. We've got 3 weeks, so we'll have to see what happens. My man Kunle says, of course, Phil. As I said, I think you're my guy. I'm just not. I'm just not your. I didn't get that, Kunle. I said you're my something. You're my full stop. I just not your guy. Big up, smash the likes, people. Please do. You man have work to do as always. Yes. Smash the likes, folks. I know the folks from Kaz's channel are phenomenal at that. James says Tyler Morton has been one of the players I've been watching for a while. I'd like to see him back in the Premier League. Good. Let me know what your thoughts are on him. Gog Singh, good to see you. God bless you. He says, am I wrong to think as the season nears, the caliber of play we buy may be higher standard? Am I wrong to think as the season nears, the caliber of play we buy may be of higher standard? I don't know if you're wrong to think that. Why do you think that? I'll be curious to think. What makes you think that? Do you think we're going to get better players? Let me know. George says Luis Suarez. Yeah, there was some news about him, but I refuse to believe it's true. Uh, um, I refuse to believe it's true. James says that he's too expensive. I think he's too expensive and too old. Can he make the ball stick? If anybody knows more about Luis Suarez, and I'm not talking about the Luis Suarez of Barcelona, Luis Suarez of Sporting Lisbon, can he make the ball stick? If he can, then I can see why we might be looking at him. If we can't, then I have no idea why we're looking at him. All right, so let's get into it. Let's do a scouting report on Mr. Tyler Morton, former Liverpool Academy graduate, was there for 10 years before he moved on. Just listen, there's some news. Someone was saying there's something strange going on at Marseille where Hoiberg is. And someone is saying that players like Aguard, Hoiberg, and Timber are refusing to move after accepting deals. It's to do with bonus deals. They're not getting their pay, apparently. I don't know if anybody can confirm that. I'll be curious to know if we can confirm that. For where Arsenal fans might be happy about this, apparently Arsenal are looking to get Osserman. If that's true, that's a very, very good buy. All right, so let's get into Tyler Morton. And let me see what you guys think of the young man. So Mr. Morton currently at Lyon. He's their defensive midfielder, preferred foot right. He is about 6'1", which is a good profile to have for number 6. Can be tall like that as well. He has played 29 games in League One in his first season, with 2 goals, 3 assists. He had a pretty good season there. Now, so I want to let you guys know I put together some data and B stats together with I think it's Total Football Scouting report that has made part of this analysis for today. So he plays as it's part cutting off there, but their controller. Morton operates as Leon's deep lying playmaker in the double pivot, which is what Jaissle likes in his system. In the double pivot, he provides constant passing options, sets the tempo, and connects the defense to attack, which is what Højbjerg does as well, which is you can see the similar type of profile players that we're looking for. He is less about the final action and more about controlling how Lyon get there. Again, we saw Sean Sturr do that really, really well, and that's also part of Tyler Morton's game. So the main thing is that Morton is the controller at the base of Lyon's midfield. He's the guy, obviously, that sets the tempo, sets the direction of play and where everybody's going as well. And this is his data MB stats over the last 3 seasons, where, over the last 2 seasons, I got 2020, I got his 25-26 season stats up twice. So it's my fault there. So if you just look at, in terms of the one in the pink is his time at Hull in the championship in that year, and the one in the green is obviously his time at Olympic Lyon. What is consistent over that time, before we talk about the other areas, what's consistent throughout that time is if you look at his dual winning and his positioning winning, positions won, they're all, you might kind of describe as fairly low. So he's not a combative DM. He's not a physical jeweler. He is the type of DM where his main attributes is trying to be at the right place at the right time and kind of collecting the loose passes and the loose balls, which he doesn't do too often if you look at the stats. But we're going to get a little bit more deeper into that. But where he continues to do really, really well, or in different areas, obviously it's progressive passing and forward passing. And in his time at Hull and at the championship level, he really, really exceeded in his key passing. So he does have that in his locker. And that's obviously passes that lead to shots. He does have it in his locker to be fairly efficient in the final third areas. You'll also notice that in his ball carrying at Olympic Lyon, again at a higher level, has risen as well. It's probably the highest it's been since he's played, which is in the 73 percentile. So that might be partly due to one of his duties and responsibilities is to carry the ball forward, not just with his passing, but with his obviously actual ball work as well. So progression and press resistance. He's got 73.4 progressive carries. We talked about that, and 64.3 progressive passes. It shows his importance in advancing possession, but he isn't a traditional dribbler. Morton uses scanning, body feints, and subtle touches to escape pressure and open passing lanes. If you think of like a Michael Carrick type, that's what Morton is. The key message is that he receives the ball, he beats the press, and he progresses the ball. It's what we saw earlier in our review of the Newcastle goal against Everton. What Sean Sturr did, received it, beat the press, and progressed it really, really quickly, which is exactly what Tyler Morton is good at. And we just saw that one. So is in terms of playmaker, Morton progresses Lyon through weighted vertical passes into attacking pockets. We're going to see in the highlights a little bit later how he sets off attacks with long diagonal balls as well. So not just on the ground, but also long diagonal balls and getting passes and getting attacks off really, really quickly, which again works for the Jaissle system really, really well. His low 21.5 key passes percentile suggests he isn't usually supplying the final ball, especially at Olympic Lyon. Instead, he helps create a situation from which the final chance is produced. The key message here is that he creates the conditions for chances, not necessarily the chances itself. So he's the pass before the pass, or the pass before the action that causes the shot on goal, or the goal itself. So Lyon rank highly for possession, so 71.9% if you look at their possession. Why is it not coming up? I put that. I put it up later. So they rank really highly for their possession at 71.9. So we want to be able to look at the system he plays in to be able to understand his stats and his metrics a little bit later. So that's how we're looking at Leon. So Leon ranked highly for possession, 71.9, and defending at 76 percentile. The attacking at 65 percentile. So it's good. It's not very good, but it's good. Despite extremely low physicality, which is crazy, 12.2%. Not how they get it like that. Morton embodies the identity, technical, intelligent, and positionally disciplined rather than physically dominant. Um, he plays like his team, so not necessarily like a physical team like Newcastle are necessarily, but what he does do is his identity is in his team, in his technical abilities, intelligence, and his positional discipline, which would have been useful for the Everton game today. Yesterday. Key message: Morton doesn't just fit Leon's system; he helps make it work. So you can see on the right, or is it on the left? Sorry, on the left. My apologies. Leon's percentiles: physicality, progression, goals, attacking, possession, encounters. They are very good at defending in possession, are good in attacking. We talked about that as well. But their physicality isn't a thing at all for them. It's all about their positioning, their technical ability on the ball, and they're able to kind of to build up play and to create. They're not over. They press, but they're not overly interested in pressing either. So, Mr. Morton really suits them to a T, really, in terms of how he plays. Hence, why his progressive passes are one of the highest things about him in the first place. And the fact that they're not that interested in pressing probably explains why his carrying stats are that high. He's having to, because they're not overly concerned about getting that high up the pitch to press against the team. It kind of explains why he has to carry the ball into different phases in order to make things happen in the first place. Okay, so how would he work in a Jaissle Newcastle system? Okay, so Morton profiles naturally for the deeper midfield role in Jaissle's possession team. His his press resistance and his progressive passing would help Newcastle play through pressure and connect the defense with attacking players. So especially when our centre back split, you have Morton being able to kind of collect the ball. He'll drop in positionally through the middle, collect the ball up high, or even go on the right side or the left side. He can do it really, really well. Receive the ball, progress the ball either through his carrying or through his passing, and move it up to the next phase of play. What he'll give Jaissle is that build-up, reliable outlet from the CBs. He's press resistant, so he helped Newcastle escape aggressive presses. Against a team like Everton, they just decided not to press and go into mid-block, so that's going to be a different situation to look at. Verticality, we're going to see it in the highlights in a moment. He looks to break lines rather than simply recycle possession, which is exactly what Jaissle likes. In terms of control, he can dictate the tempo when Newcastle needs to stay in possession, playing through the chaos, as we talked about, as well as defensive intelligence, right? So screens and anticipates rather than relying on physical dominance. So he's more, like I said, he's more of a Michael Carrick than he is of a who can I think that's like a just more of a defensive destroyer type of player. I'm just thinking of is more of a Michael Carrick than he is a Paulinho, for instance, right? Okay, so let me put this comment down so I can read the bottom half as well. And I'm going to get to the comments in a moment as well. Okay, so the question is, Morton isn't physically dominant ball winner, right? So in Jaissle's system, Newcastle will need the structure around him to compensate for that. So maybe then, some of the stuff that we just saw just now, in terms of defensive duel, in terms of defending the transition, Morton might not be the man for that. So that's where we might fall a bit short. So we might still be in the same problem, right? So he would still need a destroyer next to him in order to make it work. So Morton, so the key message is that Morton could give Jaissle the deep controller his system needs, so that in that double pivot, he'll need a controller and he'll need a destroyer. progressing Newcastle through the press and setting and getting the ball into the number 8s and forwards. It would have been worth looking at Højbjerg and Morton, to be honest. But I think Højbjerg, if I look at his stats quickly, let me just look at Højbjerg's stats quickly and compare him to Morton. Because what's interesting is that they both played in the French league. Obviously, different system, different teams, Marseille and Lyon. But it's worth looking at what, not necessarily making a direct comparison, but just being able to see what sort of metrics, what sort of stats Mr. Højbjerg was able to do. Okay, so Højbjerg, come on. Oh, that's Leon, that's why. It's the wrong one. Hold on, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So let me take off Morton. Højbjerg, is it HOJ? Yeah, it is. For Lyon, Højbjerg for Lyon in 25-26 season. So you can already see, can you guys see that? You can see that. Dual winning for Højbjerg, which is what we need in artist. So he's got a bit of both. He's got the ability to win duels, Højbjerg, at 78 percentile, as well as do the progressive passing, the forward passing, which is at an elite level compared to Morton. Forward passing 97%, forward percentage passing 91%, progressive passing at 93%. Really, really good. Hence why Newcastle are really looking at Højbjerg in order to get the best of both worlds out of him. So he can be a bit of a destroyer as well as a progressive passer. His possession one is fairly average for Højbjerg, but let me see if he actually got higher stats in terms of possession one. Obviously, possession one is picking up loose passes, intercepting, as well as intercepting passes and stuff like that. Let me see. So at what do you call it? At Marseille, it's pretty much the same. What was he doing at Tottenham? So at Tottenham, you can see his possession one is reaching, when he was at Tottenham, is reaching elite level. So let me show you. I'll show you that when he was at Tottenham, and that's why that's why I don't like to put. It's not even just me, but you shouldn't always like directly on these type of metrics directly match players because they play in different systems. So you can see, for instance, obviously this is Højbjerg 22-23 season when he was 27 in the blue for Tottenham, and also in the following season, 23-24 season in the orange. So his possession one metrics kind of float between 59 percentile and 90 percentile. So he's definitely got it in his locker to win, to intercept passes, as well as to be a duel winner. The duels are always very, very high for him. So he does that part really well. But his progressive passes, forward percentage passes always stay at an elite level, higher than Morton's. So if it was a toss-up between Højbjerg and Morton, it would be Højbjerg for me, in my opinion. But before we let me know what you guys think. I want to get you guys' take as well. Before we just do that, let us get a compilation. Let us get the old what do you call it? Dennis Wise scouting going and see Morton, Tyler Morton. See what we can get from Mr. Tyler Morton at Lyon, so you guys get a bit of a flavor for him. Do I want to look at it on JM Productions or do I want to look at Tyler Morton? Let me do JM Productions. They got JM Productions. All right, let me share it with you guys. Okay, so here we go. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, big up J Productions, by the way. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell there and or click the likes for them as well. So he got 3 goals, 2 assists as well. So you just saw that scan, pass, receive, fairly resistant as well. decent in tight areas. You can see 6'1", progressing the ball either through his ball carrying or through his passing as well. He's the person that sets up the attacks. He beats the press and gets the ball moving, as he did there as well. Did really, really well. Scan, great first touch. Good. They talked about those body feints again, scans again. He refuses to pass the ball back there. Instead prefers to push it, to press it forward, which is exactly what Jaissle likes, exactly what he wants. Again, lovely body feint there, lovely swivel. Not excuse me, swivel. Step over, gets past his man. Again, you can see him. A lot of the highlights here is him in that first phase of play, getting past his man as well. He's right foot. I don't know if you ever see him in his left. Uh, Getting a goal there as well, doing some box crashing, heads it the other way as you should. Again, you see that those vertical passes. That's what he loves to do. Really nice goal there, actually. So you can imagine that Osola, Wissa, Elanga, Torre would all love to be kind of, they'll all be supplied really, really well with the likes of Tyler, with the likes of Hoiberg. Look at the outside of the foot. That's absolutely phenomenal play there. Really, really, really good. Again, those crossfield passes, sets the attack, takes the play really, really well. You know what it says again, really, to the opposition is that, what he's saying to the opposition is that we decide where we want to attack, when we want to attack, and what pace we want to attack, what area to attack, and that's the kind of area that you want to be. That's the kind of play that you want to have. Again, really long aerial balls there as well, and he's got different types as well. Some of them he drives them, some of them he loops them over outside of the foot, inside of the foot, diagonals along the ground. Does really, really well. Consistently scans. Look at that, driven through as well. Sets the play as well. Lovely through ball there, over the top, and great deliveries as well. So there's a lot to like about Morton, and he's 23 years old. I think if Newcastle already had a Højbjerg in their team and weren't 3 weeks away from the transfer window finishing, or 19 days away from the transfer window closing, then I would love to add a Morton, a Morton type of player to our ranks. But the situation is that we're not, and we need some real cover now. Plus, we do have a Miley, we do have Sean Stir, who although, especially Sean Stir, is a different career, development of his career at the moment. You probably might not go for Morton at this stage. Hence why I think Højbjerg, with the experience that he has, also his ability to win duels, to win possession, as well as pass and progressively pass at an elite level, for me, it still makes a lot of sense to get a Højbjerg instead. So I'm just double checking on any transfer news before we move to the chat. Before we move to the chat, I'm just like, because you just never know. You just never know. All right. So let's see what the chat is saying again. God bless the folks that are here. We've got over 100 folks here. Thank you all for continuing to like, share, subscribe, and all the stuff that you're doing. Really, really appreciate that. Stephen Fenwick says, oh, geez. Oh, wow, there's a lot. Okay, so Stephen Fenwick says, should try and get Richard Rios from Benfica as well. While we're getting Dedic, I like Friend Drop from Genoa as well as a strong CDM. Someone mentioned Friend Drop in the online space as well. I don't know too much about him, but if you know him, let me know what kind of player he is. But some good thoughts there still. Gog Singh says, even at this stage, buying a younger player may sound great, but I would love the idea of NUFC buying a player, buying a player or two with 65 million signings. Experience would give us a huge boost. I absolutely agree with that. That would be amazing. That would really get the fans and the team going. Absolutely. James says, pretty good idea in La Liga Oh, sorry, to be speaking to someone else, I think. El Capo says, "Does anyone think Tamori at AC Milan would be a good addition at CH? His fee is Newcastle range. He isn't earning, but earning out of his wage. I think he would be a good idea for where we are, especially with his experience again. I think he's better at defending those flank areas than Botman is. He'll be a good rotational piece. I just understand where he's going. I thought Newcastle bid for him, and then I thought he was going to Liverpool, but nothing's happened at the moment. So if anybody knows a little bit more about what's going on tomorrow, it'd be good to hear. Stephen agrees. You should definitely go for Tomori. Felix, God bless you. Not sure if it's your first time to the channel, but welcome. He says a commentator from Madrid's Marca Sports newspaper says he believes Arsenal will finally sign striker Alvarez to Arteta's happiness. I'm sure he would be happy. I just saw some news that Arsenal looking for Osimhen. If that happens, goodness gracious. It says El Capo says Milan do owe us one. I don't think if they feel they're happy about Botman though, so you never know. As a Chelsea fan, Tinswell says, as a Chelsea fan, I want to know who will be your DM. That's what we're trying to figure out at the moment. I think our out and out DM isn't at the club yet. He isn't at the club yet. That's the thing. He's not at the club yet. Let me know if you've got any suggestions or if you're selling anybody. James says, with Morton, I will take him in a heartbeat, to be honest. I know he's a player that doesn't get any yellow cards or red cards. He isn't a heavy hand. He isn't. I just think I like him. I really like him. But for when Newcastle are out, all right, he needs he needs a destroyer next to him, where we needed a destroyer and a progressor and a passer at the same time. Stephen says, I don't take the Belieber link seriously. That's because it's Craig Hope and Daily Mail, unfortunately. To be honest, we'd have virtually no money left for other signings if we did Belieber. I don't agree with that. I think we've got plenty of money. I really do. I think we've got a lot of space. Big up to my man Jonathan. Philip, how are you doing? I'm living life to the full circle. God bless you. Tinsworld said Højbjerg creates more chances than Morton. He does. That's true. But that would be the case because Højbjerg played for the Zerbi. Exactly. In a different system, in a different area. So does Morton become more like Højbjerg if he plays in the De Zerbi system? That would be interesting. Stephen says 150 million. Excuse me. 150 million is the top and risky budget level. More realistic is 120 million. They will want to keep money back as well as things don't go well. Obviously, selling players creates more opportunities. I think we can spend more than that, but I agree. You'd want to have some reserve. But at this stage, I don't know if you missed it earlier. Newcastle definitely, in my opinion anyway, Newcastle definitely between minimum 3 players, but you're looking at 5 players to make Janssel's system work. Minimum 3. I think we're going to have to spend more than 120 million to make that happen. El Capo says, I don't think Newcastle are in for Belieber. The fee is way too big. I thought it was about 60 million. Do you guys think 60 million is too big? Brighton will never budge on their valuation, but the fee isn't met. The player stays and Brighton unless the contract is about to expire. Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, but I think 60 million was affordable. It's fine. Play Liverpool. I didn't catch that one, Jonathan. Newcastle don't. I don't get that one. Send that again to me. Sorry, one moment. Where is it? I missed so many chats from. I thought I missed a lot of chats here. Bobby says positivity is back. Love to hear it. God bless you, Bobby. Steven says Morton Fendra very much like a young, better João Palina. Interesting. So is he more of a destroyer? Is he more of a destroyer? That's interesting. Big up Ash, evening mate. God bless you, sir. James says, you missed my comment about Musa and it's important. Let me know what it is. Send it again. El Capo says, could be danger, but we just simply don't know at the moment. Newcastle are spinning a lot of plates. Hopefully, we can pull something off that's going to stabilize our midfield. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. Tinsword said, I heard Asego will probably go on loan. He can help you this season. Would it be a good DM? I think we need to buy them. I think we'll be open to buying it if he's any good. But the thing is, we need an experienced DM. We need an experienced DM at the moment. We've got a lot of young players at the moment. But I appreciate the offer. Stevens says, believe it will cost more than 60 million. They'll want close to 80 million, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of quotes for him. I don't think they're going to get. I'll be surprised if Brighton still want 80 million for him. I'll be surprised. That'd be amazing. They're not going to get 80 million for him for sure. They might look at that Fernandez stuff and see 80 million for Fernandez, and they might say the same thing. But he didn't have the greatest season though. Oh, he's a total destroyer, is he? So yeah, that's good. If he had a little bit more experience, I can see us going for him. All right, folks. We have had a phenomenal show. We covered the game against Everton, did a really, really thorough and comprehensive review from it. Like I said, I see the Jaissle system emerging, which is good to see. But I think in order to make it work, he needs at least 3 to 5, minimum 3, but 5 maximum system players to make it work. And I think that's the onus. The onus is on the owners in that situation to make that happen. We talked briefly about the Dedic transfer, which seems to be very, very close. Hopefully, we get to see him a little bit later. We also talked about, moved on to talk about we did a scouting profile on Tyler Morton, who's a talented 6 of the Carrick mold, who I think under different circumstances, i.e., if we had already a DM of a Hoiberg type, it would have been good to add a Tyler Morton, but we don't. We've already got Sean Stir, we've got Miley, so it probably makes a little bit less sense to get a Morton, and we need more of an experienced DM who can win possession, who can win duels, as well as progress and pass the ball at an elite level, which the likes of Hoiberg do really, really well. But we also had the Kaz raid. You guys are absolutely phenomenal as always. You always guys like, share, subscribe. You do phenomenal comments as always as well. So I really, really, really appreciate you guys for that. God bless Kaz, the Never a Foul guys, Kaz TV as well. All the folks here. God bless this channel. As always, folks, make sure you look after. Oh, by the way, if you see me, like I said, if you see me in Newcastle Saturday, Sunday, please make sure to say hello. It'll be absolutely unbelievable to meet some of you guys as well. As always, folks, make sure you look after each other, and God bless you all. Take care, folks.